Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome back to MT's Big Book Blog and more, where creatives come to play. I'm your favorite lesbian TT MT, and today I am having a talk. We are going to have a talk about Dave Chappelle's very controversial Netflix special and how this can help us in our own diversionary genres of art. So I'm going to jump in here with this. First of all, I am a member of the Rainbow Tribe. I'm the L in the LGBTQIA plus of the communities. And unless you've been hiding under a rock somewhere, you know that Dave Chappelle made some very controversial comments on his Netflix special. Excuse me while I get comfy. That have to do with the trans community. Now, I'm not upset with Dave Chappelle, but there are a couple of things that he got wrong, and I want to address that first. And then after that, I want to talk about how you and I, as creative humans, can better ourselves with information, and hopefully we can get some things straight or worked out. Okay, so in Dave Chappelle's comedy special, if you haven't seen it, there is a portion where he talks about being in the restroom and he's paraphrasing about being in the restroom with someone who's trans. So he says that if he was in the restroom at the urinal, he's peeing, and a woman walks in, hikes up her skirt, and starts peeing in the urinal next to him, he goes, that's interesting. And that if a man walked in and backed up to the urinal and peed, he'd be like, why is he peeing out of his butt? Okay. So, but what he said, and this is why, and I don't believe in cancel culture for Dave Chappelle, so please don't come for me on that. But what he said in that particular part of the show, which was problematic, was about he'd rather have the person that he believes has a phallus in the restroom with him and not in the restroom with his wife or daughter. This is where things get messed up. So listen to me carefully. Some years ago, the bathroom issue for trans people and the laws that they tried to implement for trans people became an issue and were made a factor out of a non-factor. Transgendered people have been using restrooms since there have been restrooms. People, humans, have to pee. People have to poop at some point in place in time. It's a biological function. Everybody got to do it. Okay? And where they urinate or poop at, and your comfort level of having someone in the restroom with you who may or may not identify as a trans person became an issue because of that thinking. We know, if you look at statistics, because I'm a nerd and I do, I want you to think about right now, just for a second, think about all the straight male friends that you have. Straight men, heterosexual men, cisgendered men, men with Peter bug, phalluses, whatever you want to call it, and male brains. The people who assault people in restrooms, percentage wise, are not trans people. It's just not. The people who are found and accused and jailed and imprisoned for assaulting people in restrooms are usually heterosexual, straight men. That's where the problem of the thinking is wrong. And I feel like Dave Chappelle is a very intelligent comedian, and a lot of the things he says are really deep and introspective, but he got that one absolutely wrong. And and the way that it's harmful is because I have many trans friends, and I'm not saying that as cap or catchphrase. I literally have trans friends. And for them, going to the bathroom in public is a problem. It's a problem for me, and I'm a whole lesbian with these. Like, I don't always look like this. I don't always look like this. Sometimes my hair is super short. Sometimes I have on a ball cap. Um, and when I do, I have been stopped from going into a women's restroom to pee. I've had people look at me when I look more masculine and I'm in a women's restroom, like I don't belong there. It's uncomfortable for me sometimes, depending on what I dress like. I can't imagine what it's like for a trans person, but I've heard their stories and I've listened to them. And a lot of trans people do everything in their power not to have to use the bathroom publicly because they want to avoid situations where people are looking at them crazy, chosen to pee in the restroom that corresponds with their gender. Now, let's just unpack real quick gender and sex. Sex is biological. It means you have girl parts or boy parts. It's biological. It means that you were born biologically, you have these parts, boom, the stamp goes, you are a boy or a girl, you're a male or a female. But gender is something absolutely different. Gender is a construct. It is a construct. And gender, whether people want to believe it or not, has actually evolved as we have grown more intelligent about what gender is. Therefore, gender is psychological, it's not biological. Sex is biological. Gender is in your head, it's in your brain. So, and I say that because it's not hard for me to understand, but for some people, it's very hard to understand the differences. And I just want you to be clear about this as we move forward, and especially for those of us that are artists. If I were to ask a kitty cat, are you a kitty cat? Can you meow for me to prove to me you're a kitty cat? We don't ever do that, do we? If I walk up to a dog, and I love dogs, I'm a dog person, I own a dog, I have it on, she's fabulous. If I were to walk up to my dog and say, can you bark for me to prove you're a dog? That's what we're asking of our trans community, is to prove something that they are. That's not really fair or nice. I am a woman. I enjoy being a woman most of the time. But I've always been a woman. I'm always going to be a woman. I don't have trans issues. So my perspective is going to be that of a biological woman. I have girl parts, and that's how I look at life. And I think that men, and I'm guessing, if you are a heterosexual man, I would love to hear your comments. But men don't wake up in the morning going, you know what? I wonder what trans people are doing today. I don't think it's in their radar, in their bubble, what trans issues are. And I don't think that it's purposeful that people try to hurt the trans community. But I think you can do a lot of damage without even knowing it if you don't have that one-on-one, or you're not willing to learn about what it's like for a transgendered person. When you are an artist, it is extremely important that you see the world from different perspectives. And you look at the world and you listen and you hear other people's stories so that it can reflect in your art. And that doesn't mean that every artist is always going to be the champion for trans people or trans rights. I don't expect that. That's not realistic. But what I'm saying is, We're all in these different communities, these different tribes and bubbles of people and groups and crowds and genres. And sometimes those genres are going to overlap. Sometimes they're going to mix. And if you're willing to sit down and just talk to someone who is transgendered about their life, about their stories, some of this stuff we can get rid of real quick, fast, in a hurry as far as discrimination goes, because it's really simple. The difference between sex and gender is very simple. As an artist, you are just an artist. You create something. That's what you do. I don't have to ask you a tons of questions if you're an artist. If you just say, I'm an artist, I'm going to go, okay, you are an artist. And if a person is not harming you, harming your family, harming your children, harming your community, harming the way you make money, let people exist. Just let people exist. Open up your mind and let them exist. And this isn't a super long chat, but I really wanted to address it because in the video, the Netflix special, he talks about punching down. And I'll leave you to look at it or think about it, however you want to think about it. But in punching down, I think you have to stand high to punch down on somebody else, right? You have to, that's why I remove the word judgment out of my vocabulary. I evaluate, I don't judge, because evaluation makes everybody peers with me. But to punch down on somebody means that you must first have intent. I do not believe that Dave Chappelle had the intent to punch down, but I think he definitely got a few things wrong. And because, like any other celebrity or person that people look up to, that in his confusion of understanding the difference between sex and gender, he might have punched down on trans people with that comment that he doesn't want his wife or child in the bathroom with someone who's trans. I have trans friends, and I know a lot of their struggles. And just a place to pee is one. So I just wanted to include that in my chat and to always encourage you to think outside the box. It doesn't harm you to be inclusive and to include people when you're thinking about creations, new creations. And thank goodness we have more out and loud trans creatives, whether they're actresses that we get to see more on the screen, or whether they are, singers, dancers, musicians, poets, whatever it is. I'm glad that we have more of these people so that we can start to really understand that we are all having a very, very human experience. The physical body is going to change over time. Your body is not going to stay the same as it was when you were a baby or a child. And as those body changes happen, it's very natural that your mindset should evolve with it. We are spirit beings having a human experience. And stop punching down on people that you don't understand because you didn't take the time to. So that's my TED Talk. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And like I will always say, I love you from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes. I love you unconditionally because you're unique. You are you. There's nobody in the world like you. I hope you have a fabulous evening. And this is MT, your favorite lesbian TT, at MT's Big Book Vlog. Sometimes I can barely say it myself, and more, where creatives come to play. Peace and blessings.